Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Oh, I love that big wave, Kat. Good morning. I love the energy. Welcome. Do come on in, everyone. I am Anna from the Small Business Saturday team. I'm delighted to welcome you this morning to this wonderful webinar with Kat Williams, all about sky high confidence and mindset hacks, which is, I feel this is really timely as we kind of head into the Christmas period, maybe also planning for next year, thinking how we can build that confidence within yourself, within your business. So we're really excited to share this webinar with you this morning. Just a bit of housekeeping before we get going. This webinar is being recorded, as always, so you will be sent the recording. Some of you might even be watching the recording as you watch me say this, but you will be receiving the link to rewatch if you would like to. And please do ask any questions. I know that Kat wants this to be an interactive session, which is fantastic. So please do post in the chat where you're from, who you are, and really interact throughout the chat as well. If you've got specific questions, pop them in the chat and we can get to them throughout and also at the end. You're also welcome to use the Q&A function. I'll keep an eye on that too if you've got any specific questions that we can come to at the end. As I'm sure some of you may well be aware, this is part of the Small Business Saturday digital tour series sponsored by the wonderful BT. Thank you so much for your support on this, BT. Really couldn't do it without you. And I know that we are running webinars every Monday to Friday up till Small Business Saturday. I'm sure some of you have caught up with some of those already. For some of you, it might be your first one, so welcome. And just a reminder that if you attend 10 webinars in this series up to Small Business Saturday, you will receive a free gift from us, which is very, very exciting. Now, I will let you settle into the webinar. I hope you've all got a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. I made a homemade honey, lemon and ginger tea to fight off a bit of a winter cold this morning. So I hope if any of you are feeling that way, you've also done the same. I would recommend. Now, I'm going to hand over to the wonderful Kat Williams, who will be running this session for us today. So enjoy.
Fantastic. Hello, everyone. This is one of my favourite things to do each year. So I'm so glad to be back to Small Business Saturday, all about sky high hacks and confident hacks to run your business, which I've been running my own small business now for 11 years. So I'm very much kind of care about this. I am where you are, practicing what I preach every single day. So yes, do keep introducing yourself in the chat. It's great to see where everybody is from. And either to yourself or in the chat if you can, just put out of 10 right now where you're feeling in terms of confidence. So obviously 10 out of 10 would be sky high confidence. But be honest if you can on a piece of paper or in the chat, where are you at the moment? All right, we've got some 7s, 8s, 6s, 4s, all different numbers. Fantastic. 5 and 6s, 4s. Right. So my aim for today, I'll hopefully remind me at the end, we want to put that number back in the chat and we want it to be a little bit higher. That is the aim today. And also the second thing I want to mention at the beginning, I'm going to be sharing some freebies at the end that are on my website. If you're watching this recording, watch it back to the end on the recording or stay on till the end if you can. Right, so to quickly introduce myself, I'm Kat Williams, the founder and director of buildingyourconfidence.com or Building Your Confidence Limited, and I'm a transformational hypnotherapist and keynote speaker specializing in confidence. So I'm going to be sharing as much as I can in this hour that we have together. And I thought I would start with a story about why this really matters to me. So my original profession was a physiotherapist, and I've been in the business really of people overcoming confidence blocks and overcoming challenges for 25 years, going all the way back to being a physiotherapist, originally helping people with physical challenges. And one day I was standing at the doorway of a ward, kind of going back that 25 years ago, and it was one of those old wards with beds down one side, beds down the other side. And it was an orthopedic ward. So I want you to imagine everyone on the call. Some of you had knee replacements, some of you have had hip replacements, just imagine. But I started realizing that I could tell how quickly I could send people home, because as the ward physio, I was the one responsible for saying, when can you get out of here physically? And I started to realize something quite interesting, that regardless of people's ages or how well or badly the surgery had gone, I could start to tell almost within minutes of meeting them how quickly each person would get home. And I might go up to one person, they might say, oh, God, it's the physio terrorist. Here she is, gonna like, give me pain and oh, it's gonna be hard. Or I might go up to somebody else and they're there ready with their Zimmer frame, what have you got for me? I'm good to go. So I realized quite quickly that regardless of what that surgery or the note said, it was the story that people were telling themselves in their own mind about their own ability and their own potential to kind of, work with me and get better that made the biggest difference as to how fast they were going to get out. Now, that was a bit of an epiphany to me as a young physiotherapist because it actually made me feel quite frustrated because I realized, hang on a minute, what's going on from the neck upwards has far more impact than what I've been trained to do, which is kind of from the neck downwards, right? So I realized quite quickly I'm actually a kind of a psychologist here, like a mindset coach. I'm not just taking people through some physical protocol or physical structure. So it actually led me to leave physio relatively quickly and specialize in the mind and in hypnosis that I can tell you more about if I can, but really building into things like strength psychology and therapy. So as you can see, I've gone old school. And are we going to start today with like, well, what is confidence then? I'm not going to ask you to put it in the chat, but I'm just going to tell you. So the definition in the Oxford Dictionary of what confidence is. Thank you, Victoria, just agreeing. Nurses wanted me home, but physio knew I wasn't ready. Yes, exactly. Yeah, physios sign you off. But confidence, the definition is the kind of the amount that you believe in yourself. So the Oxford Dictionary definition is something like the belief you have in your own ability. Literally self-belief is what confidence is. And I came across a quote years ago that goes like this. It's by Nathaniel Brandon, and it's stayed with me ever since, 20 odd years. It says, tell me how a person feels about themselves, and I'll tell you how high they're likely to rise and how they operate in parenting, in business, in work, in everything. The reputation you have with yourself is the single most important factor in life and in this business that we're running our own businesses. So the reason I care about this today and the reason I'm on this is that really that story you tell yourself, regardless of all the stuff you can learn, the belief you have in yourself and the story you keep telling yourself is fundamentally what's going to be keeping you going as small, brilliant business owners. Just as a quick aside, I wasn't know if I was going to share this, but at the weekend, I went along with some fellow therapists and I painted what I'm talking about today feels like to me. So this is literally my business. It was kind of like, paint cat what you do in a nutshell. So if I asked you to paint about your business, I'd love to know in the chat what your businesses are. But this is mine because we're born, I'm going to explain in a minute, we're actually born with natural 10 out of 10 confidence. That is the first thing I want you to know today. There is not a single baby that comes onto the planet without this shining light of self-belief. It's like you don't have a baby look out at the world and go, oh, heck, I don't know why I'm here and other people are better than me and I haven't got what it takes. It's not true. Thank you, Lucy. I don't know if it's brilliant painting, but thank you. And this is representing the kind of cage of fears, this invisible cage of stuff that gets in our way that we've accumulated. It is not, it's come from somewhere, and that means we can shatter this invisible cage, as I call it, and we can release this natural confidence. And this for me has been the fundamental thing in keeping going in business. So there's my little painting of the day. But to put it like this, you might want to draw this out if you want to. I'm trying to keep these things obviously straightforward today. But this is you now. And I've asked you in the chat, to put that number out of 10 as to how confident you feel right now. But I would love you to write in the chat kind of the answer to my favorite question that I will ask every client that comes to me, and it's this. If I could wave a magic wand right now and you could feel however you want to feel and achieve whatever you want, into your future, what do you want? Maybe just in one sentence or a few words, what do you want to feel? What do you want to achieve? What, if I could wave that wand and you just don't feel afraid, what would you do? Please, joy, love it. For financial security, go back to, okay, contentment, happiness. Lovely. Love and buy my jewelry, fulfill, productive. Amazing. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you. So that's that question, what do you really want, which is really important to think about, because that's what it's all for. That's what you want your energy to go towards. Now I would like you to put in the chat, what issue is getting in the way? So if I could set you free with this magic wand from kind of one thing, what's getting in your way? So you might put in procrastination, you might put fear, you might put fear of judgment, negative mindset, okay? Self-sabotage, imposter syndrome. Right, here are the, yeah, health issues, okay? I'm sorry for that, Samantha. Shyness, discomfort, fear of being judged. All right. Thank you. Love how you're all interacting. Brilliant. Right, so thank you for being honest. We now know what we want, and we know that there's something getting in our way, which I'm going to come back to in a minute, but I kind of call that like an invisible cage. So there's a confidence block here that you're calling all different things, imposter syndrome, procrastination, perfectionism, fear, self-sabotage, even fear of success is something that I've had to overcome. That fear of actually being seen, on somebody bringing you down, fear of judgment, someone said. Now, the good news here is that, as I have just said, right back to your past as a baby, you were born, it is a fact, with 10 out of 10 natural self-belief. As a baby, we literally come onto the planet and we are screaming with self-worth because we know we are worthy. We've had all our needs met in the womb. We come out and we kind of, I'm worthy of those needs continuing to be met. So we're born with 10 out of 10 self-worth and self-confidence. And the first thing I do when clients come individually is to tune into that. The first, another thing I really want you to be aware of is, like, you have memories of feeling 10 out of 10. You may, if I asked you now to think of them, you might go, and I really can't think of any, Cat. But I want you to know that you are deeply programmed to remember that feeling, everything you've said there, of like kind of peaceful, confident, shining joy. I do believe, and I know that because we live in a world of duality, if we can feel, incredibly sad, we also know what incredibly happy is, because there's dark and there's light and there's up and there's down. Is this making sense? So whatever you feel that you don't want, the opposite exists and is available to you, and that is your natural way of existing. So what we're doing here today is kind of tapping into that original energy. What happens is the root cause. So as a hypnotherapist, I'm all about kind of regressing into the root cause of issues. And all of these issues that I'm going to fill in a minute that you've mentioned, your imagine up here, anxiety, procrastination, imposter syndrome, self-sabotage, making that, that block between now and your future. Their root cause lie in three main beliefs that you're not born with, but that have come in. Now, the first belief is a feeling of, I'm not good enough, right? If I was with you now in person, I probably wouldn't ask you to put your hand up, but I bet on the call we're all going to have that inner fear, right? Of maybe I'm just not good enough. I haven't got what it takes. Not born with it, but it can come in pretty quick. And again, I'm helping people all the time get to the root cause. Was it a teacher? Was it a brother? Was it parents? What something put that belief there? And if it's come from somewhere, it can leave. That's another thing, you can shatter this. The second limiting root cause belief is I'm different, or I don't fit in. So this comes into play if you have up here, actually, like imposter syndrome and fear of public speaking, if that is the issue. It's actually not a fear of public speaking, imposter syndrome. It's a fear of being different, because as tribal, hunter-gatherer beings going back generations, it is literally a death sentence to us as human beings to stand out and potentially be threatened, right? So it's sort of deep in our wiring to go like, why on earth would I want to, like now I've overcome a fear of public speaking, but right now I could be thinking of all you lot going, who's going to judge me? Who's going to say that I don't look right, don't sound right? What's she talking about? Who does she think she is? You know, horrible, horrible things. So that is actually even more innate of like feeling different or not fitting in. Now, and the third limiting belief is that whatever we want, this future, this magic wand question, no, it's not available to me. So that's that kind of comparisonitis, you know, other people in my business, whatever your business is. I saw jewelers, I don't know what everyone does, but you know, it can be this belief of, oh no, other people can have it, but I can't. And again, something I've overcome that it's just popping into my mind now. That's why I wanted to keep it flexible. But another thing I want to say to you as business owners is, um, life is not a pizza. I don't believe, well, I know for a fact someone else's success, right? If they do really well, it's almost like we're going, well, maybe there's less for me now. Oh no, they're taking the market and there's less for me. I don't think like that anymore. You know, because what I'm loving actually, what I love about you being on this call, what I love about us all being in business, we're all those kind of people. You know, what a joy to kind of say, I care about this enough to run my own business. I've got ideas to share. I want to do it my way. What a lovely thing then to see other people doing things on Instagram or LinkedIn, or I'm a speaker, I'm in the Professional Speaking Association. And yeah, 2 years ago, I thought, oh no, I'm competing with all these speakers. And it's like, what rubbish? No, I'm not. This is like my speaking family. These are the people that get it. So I really want you to kind of really get rid of that one. Other people's success shows you that you can do it too, right? And like celebrating that we're all in this together. Exactly, Charlotte. Thank you. Collaboration, not competition. Feeling jealousy is actually useful because it's an energy that says, how did they do that? Like, I want some of that. Wow, they're inspiring. I'm going to be inspired by that and not copy it, but, you know, get my own way of doing it, which again, I'm going to mention about natural strengths and strength psychology. If I have time at the end, I'm going to talk about that, how we can feel like equal but different. Run your business in your way and not think that just because someone else is doing something, you can't do it. Absolutely not. All right. Hope this is all good so far. So, what I'm going to come on to now, again, as I've mentioned, I'm not going to write all these words here, but imagine written up here is all of these issues, which, as I've got here, is the issue, not your issue. Again, another fundamental thing I want you to take is never, never, never say, I have anxiety, or I'm a perfectionist, or I have imposter syndrome. No, you don't, because you weren't born with it, right? It is the anxiety, the procrastination, the imposter syndrome, all right? It is the issue. And I'm going to explain now about the neuroscience, the science of the mind, about why I'm saying that. But it's very important. Never say, even I think someone said, you know, people might come to me saying, I can't go networking, I can't, you know, talk because I've always been shy. And again, I will challenge that and say, I bet you're not always shy. I bet when you light up, you know, think about my picture, when you're with people that you feel seen by, celebrated by, supported by, you shine. And so it's not true. You might have picked up being shy, possibly because of these reasons of not feeling that you fitted in primary school or even in your family. But if it comes to talking about something you care about, there's no way that that shyness wouldn't just, you know, be gone and you're like, oh my goodness, I care about this. So if it matters to you to overcome that shyness, that's what I help people to do. So again, the shyness will be trying to protect you in some way from not being judged or, you know, or saying the wrong thing. It's kind of like, oh, it's better just not to talk at all. Does that make sense? Thank you, Paula. Loving all this. Love it. Aha moments. Love it, love it, love it. You might want to watch it all back, everyone, in case I'm going too quick. As you can tell, my top strength, by the way, is enthusiasm. So I'm like, yeah. Right. So if you follow me on LinkedIn, you will see that I describe myself as the stallion mind speaker. Because it's the best way I can think of to describe what is going on in our subconscious mind. So imagine for me right now I've helped you. Here's my beautiful picture of a stallion. I'm not even a horse rider, but my daughter is. So this is where this idea, this analogy came from. So imagine right now, there's a powerful, powerful horse with a rider on the top, right? So I'm not going to try and draw a horse, but the horse has, well, represents your subconscious mind. So we have around, I don't know if any of you know this, but this is around the number of thoughts we have a day. 70,000 thoughts a day. That's an awful lot of thinking, right? But we're kind of like an iceberg, or like this sort of stallion mind. 95% of these 70,000 thoughts a day are subconscious. They're just churning away in the background. We're not fully aware of them. And 90% of those 95%, of 1,000 thoughts a day, are actually the same thoughts every day. Vast majority of our thoughts are the same over and over and over again. This is like this programming running in the background. Most of these are negative because we have a strong negativity bias, or our stallion mind does. And the reason they're mostly negative is because this powerful stallion mind of ours has only got one job. So it is this sort of animal mind. If you think about a horse, highly reactive, emotionally driven, and wired to protect us. So it's always on the lookout for problems. Now, let me just explain where this metaphor came from. So I just want you to imagine me, it was a few years ago. I was standing on the edge of a riding arena watching my daughter riding around with her class, riding class, and all on ponies, obviously. And suddenly there was like a bang, and a tractor started up just nearby. And one of the ponies kind of startled, reared up, and the young rider fell off. And then I watched the instructor do something incredible. She swapped the rider because she'd watched, actually, in the meantime, the young girl had tried to get on the pony, tried to control it, but just, her confidence had gone and it wasn't working. So the instructor swapped the rider, and an older, more confident girl got onto the horse. And then, just like that, the pony relaxed and everything was fine. And it was kind of like another epiphany moment for me of going, hang on a minute, same horse, different rider. Suddenly that fear's been removed. The horse isn't thinking about the tractor anymore, and everything's just ticked along. And that is what I'm going to be talking about from the rest of today, is that yes, 95% of our thoughts are subconscious. Yes, mostly they're the same and quite negative. However, what you're in control of is that your conscious thoughts, 5%, are like that horse rider. And when you control the stallion mind, it can do incredible things for you, because if it feels afraid, it takes over and it creates all of these issues. But if you lead it, then it's incredibly, incredibly powerful. And we haven't even done full research yet into how powerful our minds is. The human brain is the most complex structure like in the known universe. So there is so much more to its potential that we don't even know about. But the first thing we can do is to take the reins and lead it. So that's what I'm going to go on to talk about now. This is where I kind of share some activities with you that either make a note of. Sorry, I got a question from Andy. Is this different for people who are neurodiverse? As someone with ADHD indications, the brain never shuts. It would be interesting to know if the number of thoughts were the same for all. That's a really interesting question, Andy, that I might come back to a little bit more. So obviously the question there for everyone watching is about neurodiversity. I do get a lot of clients coming to me with neurodiversity, and the way that this can still apply is that I believe even with neurodiversity, there will be elements of trauma that is influencing the fear-based kind of issues then being churned up by the subconscious. So the thoughts and the overthinking or the catastrophizing or the anxiety can be supported by knowing some of these strategies, and therefore feeling more in control, even if there is neurodiversity there. That's what I've found from my clients, if that makes sense. So this can still be very supportive and helpful, even if there's a kind of diagnosis. So I'm going to share three strategies, all beginning with C. So the three things I'm going to share, first, all beginning with C. The first one, so the three C's to ride your mind. The first one is calm. This came from, so if you think about that analogy of the rider getting onto the horse and making that instant difference. And this is true from principles of horse riding, even though I'm not a horse rider, I've checked it with the professionals. Um, a rider knows they have to always calm themselves first, because the stallion mind of ours is always responding to our conscious thoughts. Again, I'm going to explain a bit more like this in the second one, but how we think is literally creating these neural impulses that we then describe as emotions. So this conscious thinking, the 5% of our cognitive function at the front, our frontal cortex, how we think, if it's as calm as possible, that is what the subconscious mind is then responding to. So here's my first exercise to share with you. I'd like you to imagine taking just blank piece of paper. So I'm just going to imagine if this is the piece of paper. Draw a line down here. And on the left side, how would we do that? Yeah, it's fine to do it this way. But on the left side of the piece of paper, this would be limiting lies. Because if I asked you now in the chat to put down all of the negative thoughts that you think every day, I know there would be a lot. And one of these activities I want you to do after this call is actually to either journal or on any pieces of paper, write down any and every limiting thought, lie, as I call them, because they are, that you've ever had or ever do have, and go on and on and on and on as far as you can. And then what I do with my clients is then for every single one of these, we want to instead put a supporting truth. Because this is the stallion. And because it has only one job, its job, right, of the subconscious mind, sadly, is not to make you happy. It's not to help you run your business. It's not to make you successful. Its only job is to keep you safe and alive. And the other thing I haven't mentioned yet is, I mentioned it's running 90% of those thoughts are the same every day. They're the same every day from when you were 7 years old. Because up to the age of 7, our nervous system, this stallion-like nervous system, is like a sponge. It's coming up with beliefs about the world, about your capabilities, sort of picking up fears. And then at the age of 7, it flicks and it starts to take over. And so then it's projecting and influencing how you move through the world, what you see, what you perceive for the rest of your life from the age of 7. And then it just kind of lies to you, not because it's sort of trying to be mean, but it's just trying to keep you safe. But by doing that, it keeps you stuck. And again, this was a huge another epiphany moment for me. What this literally means is that to a great extent, emotionally, we are all still 7-year-olds in adult bodies. Let me say that again. We are emotionally 7-year-olds in adult bodies. So when you're feeling those blocks, confidence blocks of imposter syndrome, of anxiety, of procrastination, that is actually the root causes lying in the programming that was formed up until the age of 7. And other things are then built on top of that. But my job as a transformational hypnotherapist is to take people as young as possible to things you've forgotten. One of mine was on my 3rd birthday that I could not have got to, like without hypnosis. And I'm kind of, my goodness me, there it is. I picked up this belief that it was my responsibility to care about the emotions of my mum, and put her first. And actually what that had transformed into then as an adult is a people pleaser. If anyone on this call is a people pleaser, I bet you are. People pleasing is a self-harming strategy, because what it's actually trying to protect you from is feeling ashamed. So things, and self-sabotage might be connected with that. It's actually trying to sort of protect you, because if you're too seen or too successful, I wrote my book. This is why I don't do slides, Anna, by the way, because I'm jumping around now. This is my first book, Stay Calm and Content, no matter what life throws at you. It is there on Amazon. But when this book came out, I didn't tell anyone I wrote it. You'll understand this on the call. I know this about 14 years ago, before I'd kind of overcome all of my issues, because I thought, who am I to write a book? And I want to do, I knew I had something important to say, but I wasn't going to tell anyone. Anyway, the book came out after about a year, and I did tell my mum. And you know what she said? She said, I haven't written a book. And I just thought, what kind of, reaction is that? It's like I had, that was that success. And then I felt this fear of kind of like, who am I to have made my mum feel bad because she hasn't written a book and I have? I bet some people on the call can relate to that. Right? So there's some like people pleasing. Oh no, I've upset people by being too successful and doing what I do. So, right, we're on the money here. You have, if you're running your own business, we are trying to shatter these invisible issues of anything and anyone that is coming up with all of these fear-based stuff based on your childhood. Thank you, Joe. You've had that from your mum too. Exactly. Mum doesn't want to get what I do either. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to share with you some good supportive truths that I can, and I'm actually in the process of creating these as cards. So please kind of email me and get in touch on social media and tell me to get on with it, because I've just got too many ideas to bring out. So here are some examples, because put in the chat if you want to help me out some of these limiting lies, but we know they're going to be, I'm not good enough. Who do I think I am? What if people judge me? What if I fail? Haven't got what it takes. What if I embarrass myself? What if I get it wrong? Um, Loads of stuff like that, isn't it? What if I upset somebody? Give me anything else. Starting a business too late. Never too late, Victoria. I love others are better than me, right? See, lies, 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 lies. You don't know what you're doing. You care too much about why you're doing this, not the way why you're doing, Madeline. I absolutely know. Too old, not qualified enough. Yeah. Trust me, they are absolute lies. Then what we're going to put on the other side. So here's some ones to share with you, some of my favorites. For a start, right. Well, look. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Sorry. This one. I am the survivor of thousands of generations. That literally means you have to have what it takes. We are all the survivors of survivors of survivors. Like, if we can't figure this out, then it's impossible that we can't figure it out. So I love that one. That means I am more than enough. You would not be giving your time to this call and others if you didn't care enough. It's all about energy, and you are more than enough to be successful in what you give a damn about. And because otherwise, why would you be on this call? Like, it matters enough to you, and that is enough, right? I have all I need within me. You have. I am going to share something about strength psychology that changed my life as well, discovering my natural strengths. Because what we're kind of talking about here, people will say to me, like, how do I know I'm good enough, Kat? And it's like, well, if I asked you now again to say what you're not good at, you could all do that. But it's quite hard to say what we are good at. So that's where strength psychology, I want to do a whole other separate session really on that. But I am not a vulnerable child anymore, right? Coming back to this, the most important thing I want you to know is like, you are not your past. You are not a 7-year-old child. So that stallion kind of protective mind that's triggered a lot of the time, fundamental thing you need to start saying is like, it's not true. I am not a vulnerable child. You're trying to help me and protect me by giving me these issues. I'm going to come to these more specifically just in a second. But I'm not my past. And I can break through and get to what I want because I'm an adult now. I'm okay, you're okay. I'm equal but different, or equal and different. I love this one. My record for getting through hard times is 100%. There is nothing that's going to come your way today or any other day that you can't figure out, because your record for getting through hard times is 100%. Love that one. I choose to do this and choose to do it well. Again, you have got the energy it takes because you're on this call investing this time in yourself and in your business. So if you choose to do this, you can also choose to do it well. I have absolute faith in you guys. All right, let me come on to the next thing I wanted to share with you. So that's your first activity. And when I publish this, it won't be expensive, and I will send you these sort of truths. Because then what you do, you see, is just scrub all of these out, literally fold the paper over. We are deleting these, and then we only have mantras and positive affirmations. And by the way, positive affirmations in terms of the mind, they're not just sort of nice words. They can rewire neural pathways, right? The mind learns by repetition. Again, it's like riding that stallion. If you do repeat, 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 practice, 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 you are literally going to build new ways of thinking and new neural pathways. So this is why it's important. Get those mantras on your phone, around your house, make yourself a recording. I make all of my clients a transformational hypnosis recording, personalized to them, but I have got some on my website that are generic, all about breaking the invisible cage, actually is one I've got on there. So do that for me. Send me your truths even on social media if you want to. C number 2, how are we doing for time? We're doing fine. Sort of 20. Well, I'm going to try and finish in 10 minutes and get some questions going. So the communicate part. Now, this is about what I've already briefly said, but the only thing any of us can actually control is those 5% of the thoughts. But it's all that we need to control because they control everything else. So what happens is that is like a neural impulse. Whatever we think, you will have heard, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. I can share amazing research into the power of belief, a bit like I said at the start with those physio patients. If they believed that I was there to help them and they could get better in 3 days, they were out the door. It was the power of the story they were telling themselves and their belief. So thoughts create feelings. Feelings are triggered by thoughts. You might already know this, I don't know. But so you're always trying to think, hang a minute, what's the fear-based thought? What's the stallion been triggered by? And it will be those root causes. Do I feel not good enough? Am I thinking people are better than me? Not true, but that's where these feelings are coming from, of maybe anxiety, stress, whatever we might call it, frustration, shame, guilt, all of that. And then how we feel creates how we behave. Yeah. And then this is the fundamentally important bit. And then how we behave reinforces the thought loop, and whether it's positive or negative. So again, people will come to me in these negative thought loops. So let's have a go. If we're thinking, I haven't got what it takes, not good enough, people are better than me, we're going to feel, what's the point? Anxious, worried about, stressed about everything, finding problems everywhere. Then we're going to behave, say we've got networking to do, social media posts to write, well, if I'm not good enough, haven't got what it takes, not feeling it, then I'm going to procrastinate, or I'm going to give up easily, I'm just not going to do it. And then I'm going to reconfirm, I knew I didn't have what it takes. I knew I wasn't good enough. I knew, so it's reconfirming negatively, which is why those supportive truths are so important. Get them everywhere, those mantras, and go, I am not my past. This matters to me. I have everything I need within me. I do my best, and that is always enough. Yeah. And then you're going to feel more motivated. Then you're going to actually do the thing that you've done. And again, if I could ask you all now, if you think back, whenever anything that you were really worried about that you couldn't do, you figured it out. You did go to the networking thing and it was okay. I might get people coming with social anxiety. Oh, I've got social anxiety, I don't do well with new people. Well, if you turn up feeling like that, you're probably going to stand at the edge of the hall, the room, and not talk to anyone. And then you've confirmed, oh yeah, I can't talk to people. It was a belief that you had before you even arrived. Yeah. Does that make sense? Let me think how time we are going. So that's the second thing, communicate. Communicating all the time, just like a horse rider communicates with a horse every second. Because if they know the second they stop putting those instructions in with their legs and, and the reins and everything, the horse is going to take over. So whenever you feel that fear come in, it's your job to go, it's absolute, I would swear, am I allowed to swear? Like, it's bullshit, it's rubbish, it's lies. I'm going to be the horse rider. I've got this. My record for getting through is 100%, right? And thank you for the supportive comments in the chat, by the way, loving it. So the final thing I'm going to share with you, oh yeah, I've got lots of time, 10 minutes. We're going to have 10 minutes at the end for some questions. So do put them in, and Anna's going to keep an eye for me as well. So this third one is about committing. And for this one, I want you to think about vision boards, really. So this principle of the mind, in terms of thinking about that horse rider analogy again, what I mean by this one is if you think about the obstacles ahead, so I want you to picture now, yes, you've got this going on, you're shining, you're kind of right, I've got it, I'm calming my nervous system, I've got my kind of communication, I'm going this way. And then I want you to picture overcoming obstacles like you've already cleared them. Because a rider will commit to doing a jump or an obstacle as if it's kind of already cleared. They look beyond the obstacle, not at it, right? So this is about visualization and about using your powerful imagination to picture overcoming and already being that magic one question at the start is already you. I love quantum physics and Brian Cox, and he talks about kind of collapsing time. So, what we kind of want to pop back to in a way is again, so you wouldn't be on this call if your future wasn't kind of closer than you think. And if you collapse this kind of timeline and go, if I can allow my nervous system to feel and to visualize it like it's already happened, it's like the rider just going, communicating with the horse and going, we've already cleared it. It's not a big deal. We've already done this route. We've already jumped all over these fences. And then that powerful kind of stallion mind beneath goes, oh, well, it's easy peasy then, isn't it? It's just, it is who we are. We're just going to do it. And then it's kind of like you've collapsed that time. So you're not saying, oh, I'll feel that success, in 10 years, when. It's like, no, I'm really proud of myself now. I've already, think of all the things you've already, obstacles you've already jumped over, already overcome. You are already more than enough. You are already that version of you that you want to be is already with you, the clearer you imagine it right now. So that's about the commitment. So um, this is what I do. I don't necessarily have a vision board actually. I just use my imagination, but whatever works for you. But every night I will picture each day, coming back to practical things for running your business, I literally picture the each next day going how I want it to go. Not in some kind of perfect scenario, but more about I have what it takes to navigate anything. There's no issue I can't overcome. There's nothing that I can't figure out. All right, does that make sense? Um, and that's what I do. And just to tell you a quick story on this about the kind of power of visualization and belief, basically, even if you don't sort of do it consciously. So this was a study of I think it was about 80 maids. They were hotel maids in hotels in the US. And what happened was the researchers split them into two groups. And to one group of maids, they didn't really tell them what they were studying, what the research was about. They just said that they were going to be taking kind of physical measurements about health, I think. So one group were told that actually the work they were already doing was really, really good exercise. They did all these kind of, talked about what they did in their day, and they said, gosh, you're doing lots of stretching, lifting, bending, walking thousands of steps every day as you clean each of these hotel bedrooms. And then the second group of maids and hotel cleaners, due to refer all to the time, Becca, brilliant, love this study. I'm probably not describing it well, Becca. But the second group weren't told anything, they just carried on. Then after, was it a few months back? I'll have to remind myself, they measured the group that had been told, you are meeting all of the criteria for like excellent exercise. And they noticed that their heart rate had kind of slowed, their waist measurements had gone more slender, their weight had dropped. They'd basically become physically healthier just because they'd been informed that what they were doing, and they then believed that the exercise they were doing really, really good exercise. Oh, Claudette, thank you, Claudette. You got to go. Yeah, continue on the replay and get the freebies that I'm going to share. So that says to you that that power of kind of that story you tell yourself, the belief you have, is what's going to make a massive difference. How are we doing? What do we have any particular questions? Start putting some particular questions in the chat. And then what I'm going to do now, because I do have some time, I'm going to try and share this in 1 second. But just before I do that, I'm going to share more about what these issues are really protecting you from, because I hope you'll find this interesting. So anyone who used to say, that won't say anymore, if you say, I'm feeling anxious, that's okay, but not to say I'm an anxious person, right? So when you feel the anxiety, anxiety is a protector part that is actually trying to protect you from shock, feeling shock or unprepared. So it's like a smoke alarm. There will be a time in your past that you would have felt sort of shocked, unprepared, helpless. It's something called sort of learned helplessness that we really don't like to feel. So anxiety comes up to sort of try to prevent us from feeling that shock or helplessness, right? So that's why you can start to say, oh, okay, this is my stallion mind trying to protect me. I'm not an anxious person. I understand now what you're trying to protect me from, but I have what it takes. I'm not going to be shocked. I can be prepared, and I can do what I need to do. Perfectionism is trying to protect us from criticism, usually, because we know perfectionism is a self-harming strategy, like all of these are. It believes it's protecting when it's actually harming. So it kind of thinks, look, if I try and do everything perfect, then nobody's going to criticize me, are they? But we know perfectionism doesn't exist. But that feeling will be going back to maybe a teacher, a parent. You don't want to feel like that vulnerable 7-year-old again that felt criticized. But again, those supportive truths can help. I'm not my past. I'm not a child anymore. I don't need to be perfect. Just need to do my best. My best is more than enough. Am I perfect on this call today? Of course not. Is it more than enough? I hope so, because you're getting genuine, someone who cares. And I think that's more powerful than if I'd done lots of perfect slides and was all worried about it, right? So I hope you're seeing why I care about this and why I practice what I preach. Procrastination, that's trying to actually protect you from failure. Because if you don't do it, you can't fail. If I didn't do this presentation, I couldn't get it wrong. If you don't put a post on social media, you can't fail. Failure, again, is a limiting lie. You might have heard Michael Jordan, I fail and I fail and I fail and I fail and I fail again, and that is why I succeed. We've got to just be happy to fail, because we're going to fail and succeed. That's it. So unless you just keep failing, how on earth are you going to succeed? It doesn't make any sense. So it's just embracing failure. I'm happy to fail. Who cares? Move on. Yeah, bit like a horse rider again. Okay, I knocked off one pole. So what? I've got loads of other jumps that I'm going to clear. Big deal. Imposter syndrome. See, not perfect. Haven't spelt it properly. Actually trying to protect you from rejection. This is this voice that says, oh, I haven't got what it takes. So you're going to say that to yourself to protect you from anyone else saying it. What am I doing in this room? I don't belong here. I haven't got what it takes, right? Like, what if somebody else says that? Oh, you already said it to yourself first, so you're protected. That's all it is. It's like an inner critic going, I'm going to say it before anybody else can. Not true. Again, my favorite thing for this, for imposter syndrome, bit coming back to kind of why we're all on this call, you're in the right room. Me going into the Public Speaking Association in the Northwest, where I'm near Wrexham. I'm now the president of the Northwest Public Speaking Association. How insane is that? But if I hadn't gone into the room and felt like an imposter, I was actually in exactly the right room at exactly the right time, and I have stepped forward, and I'm now on my journey even more as a public speaker because I walked into that room. Wrexham girl, yay! Hi, Victoria. So, imposter syndrome, limiting lie, load of rubbish. You're in the right room, you're on the right call, you're doing the right thing. Otherwise, it's energy, like you care. Final one, people pleasing. What is this protecting us from? It is protecting us from guilt. Guilt and shame. I know, if I try and make everybody else happy, nobody's going to make me feel like I won't feel guilty, because of most of my clients come to me with these natural strengths, but I may have 2 seconds to talk about, of empathy and compassion. A lot of you on this call today might be running your businesses because you care so much and you want to make a difference, right? Am I right? That can go overdrive into people pleasing, of giving that away. You give all this empathy and compassion away, and then you're absolutely empty. So the final important message, that metaphor I'm going to leave you with, I know I've got lots of metaphors in here, is for people pleasers, which I have recovered from. My favorite metaphor for this is people pleasing is like trying to be like a torch. If this was a torch now, got my light on. It's like running around in the dark, trying to help everybody and find them and go, oh, is everybody all right? And are you happy? And are you happy? And have I done okay for you? And and you're absolutely exhausted and you're kind of lost in the dark trying to help everyone. The opposite of that is what I'm showing right now. I am standing here as a lighthouse. Okay. I have put into practice everything I've shared today, and I have overcome anxiety, low self-esteem, fear of public speaking, imposter syndrome, not so much perfectionism, never really was that, but procrastination, people pleasing. So I am now practicing what I preach and being like a lighthouse of saying, I'm going to show you that showing up and not being perfect and just giving a damn is enough. This is my business. This is what I care about. You can do it in your business because if you're like a lighthouse and you just shine with your imperfections, with your vulnerability, but with your shining, beautiful energy, you show other people that they can do it too. So I hope that's what I'm leaving you with today. This is just about knowing you were born with this energy more than enough. Let it shine. I feel all emotional now, Anna. Let it shine. Like, do it. You would not be on this call if you didn't have what it takes because you've given enough of a damn to come on today. So I'm going to leave it there for now. And
I I don't know about you guys watching, but I feel like I have just been delivered a very like a personal coaching session to myself. I was absolutely hooked. I'm not gonna lie. I was in. So I don't know if you guys feel the same, but I felt just the way of delivery and everything was really, really resonated, and can be applied to so many different aspects of business and life. And yeah, I loved it. Thank you so much for that, Kat. It was fantastic. I'm just gonna pop these links in the chat that you are sharing on screen now. So I'm hoping
yes.
that this it
And
says
I've got a
joining
great,
me.
yeah, 5-minute guide on my store page. It's free. It goes into a little bit sort of extra detail on how to ride your mind. So I really recommend that. And there's a free video on my website as well. So buildingyourconfidence.com. This is about the strengths psychology. I didn't really get a chance to share, but I'm happy to do just a free call on what that. It's not my cost. Somebody was asking about mentoring. I start at about £175, which is not a lot to find out your natural strengths, which absolutely changed the game for me in terms of how I run my business. My top strength, I'll quickly tell you what they are, like enthusiasm. This is what you've seen today. Enthusiasm, creativity, empathy, compassion, resilience, persuasion, and I can't remember what the last one is, flexibility and adaptability. So I literally practice what I preach. I bring this energy to my business, and that's how I get up every morning. And I'm not trying to be somebody else's other kind of speaker or a different kind of therapist. I'm being me, and that's what you can do too. Thank you. And follow me there, LinkedIn, at Cat Williams on Instagram. Sorry, Cat with Confidence on Instagram. And I've got great YouTube videos as well. Not many, I'm still trying to build more, but go on to Cat Williams on YouTube and you should find some useful ones, tapping into those exercises I've shared as well.
Fantastic. Rachel's asked, is this all in your book? I assume that a lot of this will be in your book, kind of the methods you followed today.
Not so much. I've probably learnt most of what I've shared today since the book, but it is still really good. I do pick it up occasionally and go, oh, she's very wise. Beautiful quotes in here. It's real life stories in here. I'm a military wife that I haven't fully shared today, and this was written at the time that my confidence was on the floor. My husband was on the front line. I was like looking at this, keep calm and carry on is what it's based on. I was like, I'm not calm, don't know how to carry on, don't know what to do. So it's kind of about how do you be like that phoenix that rises through the flames. So that's what this is about, but it was published about 14 years ago now. My second book is going to be about the stallion mind, which so that is what I've shared with you today. But it's still a really good book. It is on Amazon. Yeah.
Fabulous. We'll keep an eye out for the next book as well then, everyone. I just wanted to, we do have a couple of minutes left, so I did spot a couple of questions in the chat, and there was one in the Q&A that Alison asked about feeling frozen in procrastination and fear. So how can I move on and do the things I need to do, which I feel will resonate a lot with business owners in general, from people that I've spoken to, and kind of with myself as well, about feeling so frozen in procrastination that you don't really know how to get over that. So
I think I'm going to share a really final exercise on that because I like to be practical. So we make our decisions based on just two things. All right. So whatever it is you're procrastinating about, it's literally this simple. Am I going to do it? Yes or no? right? This one is about the two ways we make our decisions is just love or fear. That's it. So I want you to be really honest, whatever it is you're procrastinating. If I say yes to doing this thing, social media post, saying yes to a public speech, whatever, what is it? Do about three. What is it that I'm afraid of? Right? So I say yes, but I'm afraid that blah, 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 right? If I say no, what do I, we'll stay over here with fear for now. If I say no, what am I afraid of? And it'll probably be like, well, I'm not going to, progress, or I'm not going to do anything. Right. Okay. If I say, um, if I say no, what's positive about that? So it'll be like, well, I'll stay safe usually. So sorry, if I say yeah, where am I confusing myself now? Yeah, what are the positives of saying no to whatever it is? But what are the positives of saying yes? So the point of this exercise is you don't want to be regretting here. So if you say no, this is sort of regret, I'm just stuck and whatever. And then this is if I say yes, what am I going to gain? What are the positives? What do I love about the thought of saying yes? This is the original energy that we talked about at the start. What you give a damn about is love, and love is always stronger than fear. So the final thing I'll leave you with is, if the house was burning, if there's a burning building and you love something in that house enough, you are in, you're over that high, you don't have a fear of heights, whatever, you're in. And that's why love is always stronger than fear. So try to sort of tune into that and find, because whenever people come to me for help, I do kind of start with this and say, I can only give you what you want, that magic wand. I can't, if you're sort of safe but stuck and you don't really care enough, then procrastination will go, yeah, no, it's not worth it. I'm happy. But if you're not happy, figure out, why you care, and it will blast through that invisible cage and you'll be doing it. So give that a try.
Yeah, I love that. That reminds me, I can't even remember. Somebody said to me, I think I said, oh, what's the worst that could happen? And somebody said, okay, but what's the best? I'm like, okay,
Right, yeah, what if it all goes right?
yes, I love it. I love
Exactly.
it.
And this is also, it's kind of, but this is a fact, this is quantum physics. This isn't just, like woo-woo thing. We live in duality. The fact that there is night, there has to be, day. There is down, there is up. So it is a fact today that your worst fears are crap, bullshit, not real. Because the absolute truth, we are more powerful. That is actually more scary to us, almost like, oh my goodness, look at the potential I could reach. That is equally a fact to this kind of like, what if I fail? So why not think, what if it all goes right, and just go,
Love it. What if it all goes right, guys? I think that is a fantastic way to end this webinar, actually. And I can see from the chat that
oh,
it has resonated so fantastically with so many people on this call, as I knew it would. But it's just so lovely to
do this
see.
all the time, by the way, if anyone's got any opportunities for it, because I mean, I just want to practice what I preach and do it more. So yeah, keep in touch, let me know.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Like, this has been fantastic, I think a wonderful way to kind of round up our webinars of the week as part of the Small Business Saturday program. You can head off into the weekend feeling energized and more confident, and looking forward to the
Yeah,
new year and everything. So, well, I
I hope those
definitely
numbers
am.
are higher, by the way. I didn't ask that. I'm sure they're like eights, nines, and tens now.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yes, 8, 9s, and 10s all round. Thank you so much for tuning in today, guys. Really, really appreciate you spending your valuable time with us. We don't take that for granted. So really, really appreciate that. Once again, thanks so much to Kat for running this fantastic session today. And thanks again for BT Digital Skills for supporting the Small Business Saturday digital tour this year, as always. So thank you so much. Just a reminder that if you attend 10 of these webinars, you will get a free gift from us. So have a wonderful weekend, guys, and hopefully we'll see you on Monday, same time, same place. Bye, guys. See you soon.